habits, habit 2, to begin with the end in mind. And he says that, all things are created twice. First, in our imaginations, there's a mental creation, and that precedes the physical creation. So you really need to have clarity on what it is that you're after in order to get the result. And so if you don't get the result you're after, go back and think, was I specific enough? Was I able to paint the picture of what I desired? Or am I looking for a single push button, one shot, ultimate outcome? And, especially when we're building AI agents and you're building workflows and automations, you got to go through this sort of reflective approach, right? And if you notice the next time you're having a meeting, especially a strategy meeting, where you're having conversations, we had one the other day in marketing, it's a perfect example. And we had a bit of an idea, but it wasn't until the talking started and began, the conversations backwards and forwards, that we got to the moment of clarity. We realized that at the beginning, even if we thought we were clear, the inputs and outputs, the interactions between people, that reflection that was going on actually enhanced to get to the ultimate outcome. And so when you're building your agents, your workflows and automations, think of it like that. As a flow engineer, you're setting that up to get an outcome that you desire so that then you can put that on repeat in the future. And so when it comes to prompting, just think of it like communicating with humans. That's really, if I had one tip to give you, it would be that. But let's go and have a look at some detail. Put together a bit of a guide for you to help you with this concept. And so today's Flow Friday session for prompt engineering, I've got a whole structure for you to consider. Now, I'll skim through this, but you can go back and take some time to read it. But here are the real key concepts of prompt engineering: clarity, specificity, and think and know that it's an iterative process. If you kind of get those three things in your mind, you're going to feel more confident and comfortable, and no need to get frustrated if you don't get the outcome that you desire, because you're learning at the same time as you're working with the AI, just like if you're working with a human being and you realize, oh, maybe I didn't give the instructions in an effective way. It could have been more effective. As an example, if I was going to ask someone to go to the supermarket to buy 7 items, one way to do it is randomly share the different items that you wanted to be purchased. Another way would be to think about how the flow of the supermarket goes. And you always enter at the fresh produce area. So if you're going to give people a list of items, and it's going to be some bananas, some bacon, some steak, some toilet paper, so some herbs, and then some toilet paper. Let's go that order, right? The order they gave is like when you walk into the supermarket, how you going to access it. Now, if you said, oh, can you get me some bananas and some toilet paper and some steak and some herbs and some bacon, and people were to follow the list in that order, then they're out of order. It's going to be a very difficult time for them. But if you make it easy and logical, you're going to get a better outcome. So hope that helps as a bit of an analogy. Now let's have a look at really 2 core things. One is we're asking questions or we're giving instructions, or it's a combination of the 2 together when you're doing your prompt engineering. And so if we go back to human communication as a starting point, then I've got a guide here for you for actually asking questions effectively. So be clear and specific. There's specificity again. And so, clearly state what you want to know, avoid vague language. And instead of asking, tell me about cats, try, what are the main characteristics of domestic cats? Like the detail in there, if that's what you're after. So, but it could be different from that. You might need more context. And so when you provide the background of a scenario, that gives people a better understanding of what you're thinking, because you're really trying to paint a picture so they can understand you. Now, then you've got consider who the audience is, what level they're at, ask open-ended questions. So rather than yes and no, you're going to get better results out of it. Be polite and respectful, and follow up if you need to actually get more information out. Then there's giving instructions, right? So be clear and concise. It's happened again. Then use a logical sequence, just like the supermarket example. Provide context so people have got a better understanding of what you're thinking about. And here's an important one: include examples. Do you know, if you've got standard operating procedures in your organization, you can give step-by-step guides, but when it comes to life, is when people can actually see an example of how it works. And although we're talking about words here in providing examples, what it does is allows people to paint a mental picture. And with examples, when it comes to learning, like there's three styles of learning. You've got visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. Right? So 65% of the population are visual in their learning styles. And so even if it's pictures, being visual in the explanation so people can imagine it, use images as well to add additional value there. This is with humans, and we discover it's the same with the machine as well, especially if you've got multimodal models. Examples use visual aids, anticipate questions, and be encouraging. Okay. Now, they're guides, but we can go one step further to a framework. Now, I love frameworks. I think that frameworks give you safety through their structure. You've still got plenty of variety and creativity, but the structure allows you to be consistent and make sure you don't miss a step. And it's frameworks that will really help the AI as well. And so here are some examples for asking questions effectively. So there's the Socratic method, very popular approach. So the purpose, it encourages the critical thinking and discussion. So it's all about open-ended questions to stimulate the deep thinking, followed by probing questions to challenge assumptions along the way. And so questions like, what do you mean by that? Why do you think that is the case? I love in brainstorming a very simple one, which is to say, what else? What else? What else? What else? What else? It drives the open-endedness of a conversation and of the ideas to keep them flowing. The 5 W's and the 5 H's: who, what, when, where, why, and how. The 5 W's and the H, I should say. Then Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, so remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, creating. And then the 6 hat thinking from De Bono, if I can remember correctly from my psych classes. White hat, red hat, black hat, yellow hat, green hat, and blue hat, right? So you're focusing on the data and facts, exploring feelings, looking at risk and challenges, looking for benefits and value, encouraging creativity, new ideas, manage thinking processes. Then the Feynman technique, okay? So deepen your understanding through teaching. So you're explaining in detail. So choose the concept, write it down, explain it as if teaching to someone else, identify gaps in understanding, go back to the source material, simplifies and use analogies, right? Teaching through story is so powerful. And all of this is helping us to communicate more effectively. When we understand these frameworks, you can utilize them and then you get incredible benefits. Now, what if we move on to frameworks for giving instructions now? So that was, I need to add in a title here, right? So frameworks for giving instructions, frameworks for giving instructions. Okay, even better if I actually put in titles, right? That would be better for instructions. And so the clear framework, so context, list, expectation, assumptions, resources, direct, right? Instead of framework, it's going to help you remember these. So intent, responsibilities, expectations, checking points, tools. Here's the idea framework for giving instructions: instruction, data, examples, assertions, team, task, explain, action, plan, and milestones. Now, I point out the frameworks because with prompt engineering, that's where frameworks come into play. It's all just communication, right? It's all about having this level of specificity to make it easier to understand, so that there's the structure there to get out these incredible results. Now, back in June 2023, I published The Ultimate Guide to AI Prompt Engineering with ChatGPT. You can get that one over on Amazon. There it is. It's just a Kindle version. And in there, I put forward the KAPOW method. So context, perspective, audience, and outcome. So with context, you're describing the background, perspective, clarifying the lens or the role taken, audience, specify who this is for, and then outcome, define the intended result. Now, this is very much before we got into using agents, right? And so with an agent, the role that the agent takes is essentially some core underlying prompts there for the first part of it before it gets into taking actions and tools and its backstory and so forth. So and behaviors. So KAPOW is what I go straight to. But there's more. There's the APE, which is action, purpose, expectations. TAG, task, action, goal. ERA, expectation, role, action. You see the roles popping up a fair bit. Race, role, action, context, expectations. There's similarities, right? RISE, request, input, scenario, expectation. CARE, context, action, result, example. And COAST, context, objective, action, steps, task. TRACE, task, role, action, context, example. ROSES, role, objective, steps, expected solution, scenario. And so when you go through it and take your time to read through it and get in more detail, is that you realize that the fundamentals of communication is the key when it comes to prompt engineering. And so as a flow engineer, you're also a prompt engineer, okay? And you're looking to get the ultimate outcome. Do you begin with the end in mind? Do you have a clarity around what you're envisioning the outcome to be? And if you're not sure, one of the things you can do is you can actually engage with Raya. Like, one of the things you could do is like go and create a prompt engineer and then put it into mentor mode and actually have a conversation with Raya as the prompt engineer and ask it for your help about this outcome that you're looking for and how would you write a prompt to help get that outcome. Or you could refine a prompt by saying, hey, I wrote this prompt, but I'm not getting the outcome I'm after. What I really want is this. How could I rewrite this prompt to get the outcome that I desire? And the AI is going to help write it for you. That's pretty sort of inception level thinking, right? And if you look at it fundamentally, that's what we're doing with Raya. Like when we're creating the AI agents, we're actually giving some instruction, and behind it, essentially we've asked it to create the agent. And so just like you could ask the agent to create or recreate a prompt for you, so you can go back and do it. So creating a prompt engineer, I did one earlier. And so for this, I just started out normal, okay? I followed the normal process that we normally do, had the AI write it. But then when I got down to base instructions, I can go and put some more details in there. So go and put those frameworks in as an example. But more examples, the better. You can add them to knowledge base as well if you want to have, maybe you've got a really big list of them. So you're prompting further in here, if you can further refine. The other area to point out with prompting as well is like when we're getting to our workflows, that's a zone where task instruction is really important, and examples make a big difference. And I might have seen me in sessions before where, when we build a workflow, I'll just unpublish this one as an example. And so if I've got this this particular prompt that's been written by the AI, I might find that the instructions there is like super helpful that it can write it for us, but we still haven't given it the full context. We haven't given it the full end in mind of what we desire. And so, in the early versions of Raya, we didn't have the AI to generate this. We're really just, hard code, hardcore prompt engineering in here. And then the risk is we can get a bit lazy and just rely on it. Then we don't get the outcome we're after. And so, well, if you don't get the outcome we're after, it's because we haven't been specific enough. Look at what is written from the AI in this task instructions area as your starting point. Rather than racing ahead, look at the detail of it and say, is that giving me what I desire? Is it getting the outcome? Because sometimes I find that you can trim these down, but that definition of done being really specific around what it is that you desire. If there's something in there that you don't need, take it out. You'll find that that's going to benefit you a lot by actually trimming this down. Just get specifically what you need. The other tip I've got for you is really, as a prompt engineer, is when you're running these workflows, is that play around with them in the prompting section. I'll give you an example. Let's just pick any workflow. So uh, we'll do, I've had a fun conversation around hero's journey today. I had a podcast interview. Please assist me to create a hero's journey around AI agents for SMEs. Whoops, SMWs. What are SMWs? You might have to correct that one. Let's see how it goes. Well, anyway, we'll see. We'll get it in this in this form here. So URL for scraping. We'll do Raya Pro. Okay, so it's going to get this information, and probably a good thing that I made an error there with an SMW. Let's see what comes out so we can reprompt it. Freudian slip there. This is the zone where it's designed very much to help you as a flow engineer to work with your prompt engineering. So, that's one point. The other point I just had noticed as the model here, GPT-4o, is that if you're using the AI agent to actually help you write some prompts, please use GPT-4o versus 4o mini, okay? Because the 4o is more creative. It's got more parameters and reference points to work with versus the small model, which is distilled down. Think of it like 4o is the teenager, and so 4o mini is the teenager, and 4o is the professor. Might be one way to look at it, right? So you got different, just years of knowledge access. So when you've got something quite creative that you want to explore, use that information. I've got another target market is small to medium enterprise. That's quite broad, right? I could go, in Miami, USA, because it's where I am today. In the car dealership space. Actually, I'm talking to CEOs this, so in particular, CEOs. Why do you want to serve them? Want to help them scale and exceed their business results with AI agents. That why versus the what or the how is often very important. I shared there in that scale and exceed that is a portion of our mission statement. It's really important to me. We can help out that way. And so it's now doing some research, and I'll go on to the next step. The bit that I want to point out is this little guy here. So click to regenerate the output. That will actually open up those items for you to edit again. So essentially you can reprompt them. Same down here. So every task step that you've got, those instructions that are there, the prompt, you can rework. Now, when we've got an agent and we're giving it instructions, by default, we're doing overview, instructions, and definition of done. Now you can go further, one step further, and put in examples, okay, if you want to take that to the next level. Or you could use any of those prompting frameworks from the document and actually apply those, right? So you can start playing around. You can come back and reference these different frameworks and use those to help you adjust your prompts as well. So, the concept of the framework gives us that safety, the structure, breaks through the mental block that you might have, that writer's block. Another thing you could do is take a prompt and go to your prompt engineer that you created and say, take my prompt, rework it based on this framework, and ask me any questions that you need to ask me so that we can get the best possible outcome together. Right? So isn't that interesting? Look at that AI agent as the prompt engineer, as your consultant, and let it know, give it the instructions to say, ask me any questions you need to ask me in order to get an amazing outcome. And with this, you're going to find that the prompting becomes easier. And the main thing is because you've got questions, you've also got the resource of an AI agent to support you. And the big one is the frameworks to me. Go back to first principles, realize that it's all just communication. Read through these guides and frameworks and level up your thinking around the questions. And don't leave prompt engineering just with AI. Do the same thing with people, right? Take this communication frameworks and methodologies and enjoy the outcome that you get when you level up that game of questions that you ask and instructions that you give with greater specificity, clarity, and remember, be iterative. Okay, so reflect. When you get feedback, go back over it again. So clarity, specificity, and be iterative. Be open to it. You don't have to get things right the first time. In fact, most of the richness comes through collaboration. I mean, another framework, and the framework that I reference a lot is 7 Habits, right? So habit 6 in 7 Habits is to synergize. And essentially that is, it may not be my way or your way, but together let's commit to finding a better way, a higher way. That's synergy or innovation that happens between two parties. That the concept of 1 + 1 is not 2, might be 10 or 100 or 1,000, because the ideas that come from the collaboration of people are incredible. And we get that with AI. In fact, we would call this amplified intelligence. It's the combination of human plus AI working together to be able to get an outcome that's far better than what we can do on our own. All right, I'll wrap that up for our Flow Friday, because it's not live, so we do it as a recording. Check out this guide, have fun with it. If you'd like to go and grab my book, grab that one, or the new book is just about. We've got a pre-launch edition that's been printed here in the US. It should be up on Amazon in the next couple of weeks, I'd say, for both Kindle and for the printed edition. At Flow Friday session next week, we'll give everyone the ability to access the digital version for free. So we'll let you know about that next Friday. Super excited to share our framework with you, the AI sweet spot, all the incredible examples, and a very powerful framework that you can use to apply in your organization to be able to unleash huge potential, drive measurable business results, increase active employee engagement, upskill the team, and run fit for purpose systems to be able to get you to your AI sweet spot. And we cover strategy, execution, people and technology, and then the core areas in each of those to help you really win with AI and hit your AI sweet spot. All right, well done, Flow Fridays, Flow engineers. Wishing you a wonderful day here from Miami Beach in Florida. Where will Matt be next week? I think I'm in the Philippines. So I'll see you next Friday from the Philippines. Bye for now.